You've probably seen two salmon labels, wild caught and farm raised. Wild is often more expensive, but is it pricier because it's healthier or just rarer? In this video, we'll break down what actually matters: taste, nutrition, color, safety, and environmental impact, so you buy salmon with clarity, not confusion. Here's the simple version. Wild salmon lives in the ocean and is caught. Farmed salmon is raised with controlled feeding and growth. What many people miss. In a marketplace, it's not only the method, often the species differs too. A lot of farmed salmon is Atlantic salmon, while wild options may be sockeye, coho, or king. Different species can also mean different taste and texture. When it comes to taste, here's the common pattern. Wild salmon is often leaner with less fat, a firmer bite, and a stronger ocean flavor. Farmed salmon tends to be fattier, so it can feel more tender, rich, and juicy, often easier to make delicious with just salt and lemon. But don't become a label fanboy. The best salmon isn't just about the tag. Freshness, storage, and cooking can make wild dry or farmed smell fishy. Nutrition-wise, the good news is both are high in protein and commonly recommended as part of a balanced diet. The difference often shows up in fat and calories. Because farmed salmon is usually fattier, it's often higher in calories too. Omega-3s come with fish fat, so farmed salmon can be high in omega-3 as well, but the exact amount varies by species and feed. If you're watching calories and like a firmer texture, wild may fit. If you want something juicy, easy to cook, and still packed with healthy fats, farm can be a smart option. Before we talk about color, here's a skill that instantly upgrades your shopping. Read the small label. First, check the country/region of origin, because fishery and farming standards can vary a lot by location. Second, if you see certifications like MSC for wild-caught or ASC for farmed, they could be a quick filter. Not a perfect guarantee, but they usually involve standards and audits. Third, look at the product form: fresh, frozen, smoked, or smaller portions. Sometimes the best value isn't the most expensive fish, it's the one that's handled well and matches how you cook. Let's fix the biggest myth. The redder the salmon, the more real it is. Salmon's pink-orange color is influenced by a pigment called astaxanthin. In the wild, salmon gets it from its diet like krill. In farming, astaxanthin is often provided through feed to keep color consistent. Otherwise, it can look much paler. So color can be a clue, but it's not a single proof of quality or natural versus not. Now, the part that makes people overthink: safety. First, mercury. Salmon is generally considered relatively low in mercury compared to large predatory fish. Many official fish consumption guidelines include salmon as a safer choice for most people in reasonable portions. Second, parasites. Wild fish can carry parasites, but here's the key: the risk drops dramatically when you cook it properly. A practical rule is cooking seafood to 63 degrees C, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, or until it flakes easily. Third, antibiotics and medications in farming. This is sensitive because practices vary by country and producer. Many places monitor residues, but as a consumer, the most realistic approach is buy from reputable sellers/brands, check origin, and if you're eating it raw, make sure it's intended for raw consumption and handled with the right procedures. Now, the environment. The most honest answer is, it depends. Wild salmon can be a strong choice when fisheries are well managed, with quotas, enforcement, and healthy stocks. But weak management can pressure populations and create bycatch risks. Farmed salmon can meet demand without increasing wild catch pressure, but farming has challenges too: waste, disease, sea lice, or escapes, highly dependent on management standards. So the most practical move: check the country/region of origin and use independent guides that rate fisheries and farms based on evidence. Now, price. Why is wild often much more expensive? Usually because wild catch is seasonal, limited in supply, more weather dependent, and distribution can be longer. And some species are simply premium. Meanwhile, farm supply is more stable, so prices are often more consistent year-round. Here's a simple rule. For everyday meals, rice bowls, salads, pasta, Farmed is often the most practical choice. But if you're treating yourself and you like a stronger flavor with a firmer bite, wild can feel like a different experience. The point is, buy for your goal, not for label status. Here's the practical version. If you only have 10 seconds at the store, use this checklist. 1. Read the label, wild-caught or farm-raised, and check origin. 2. Check quality. It should smell fresh, not sharply fishy. Texture shouldn't be overly mushy. 3. Don't fear frozen. A lot of fresh fish was previously frozen. What matters is a solid cold chain and tight packaging. 4. Match the cut to your cooking. Thick fillets are harder to overcook. Thin fillets cook fast. 5. Final key, don't overcook. Dry salmon isn't a wild versus farmed problem. It's a timing problem. Here's a 30-second bonus to keep salmon from drying out. 1. Pat the surface dry with paper towels, then season. This improves browning and reduces fishy odors. 2. Use medium heat, not blasting hot. If it's skin on, start skin side down as a natural shield. 3. Stop at the right moment. With a thermometer, the safe seafood target is 63 degrees C / 145 degrees F. Once you're close, pull it off and rest briefly. Carryover heat will finish the job. If you're thinking of making salmon sashimi or poke at home, here's the key. Sushi grade is usually a marketing term, not a single official standard. What matters more is clear sourcing, proper cold handling, and, very often, ** freezing steps that reduce parasite risk * under food safety guidance. So if you want to eat it raw, the safest move is buying from sellers who specifically handle fish for raw consumption and asking directly how it was processed, kept cold, and whether it was frozen for parasite control. If the answer isn't clear, the simplest rule is cook it, still delicious and much lower risk. A lot of people blame farm tastes fishy or wild turns dry, but the real culprit is often storage. When you get home, keep salmon in the coldest part of your fridge and don't leave it at room temperature. If it's frozen, the safest thaw is overnight in the fridge. If you're in a rush, you can quick thaw in cold water, but keep the fish in a tightly sealed package and keep the water cold. Avoid counter-thawing. For cooked leftovers, store in a sealed container and try to finish within 3-4 days. When reheating, warm it until heated through. Use low heat so it doesn't dry out. With proper storage, both wild and farmed can taste clean and great. Final takeaway. Wild is often firmer with a stronger flavor. Farmed is often juicier and more consistent in price. The most important thing isn't the debate. It's trusted sourcing, good quality, and proper cooking. Which team are you, wild or farmed? Comment below.